Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Junior Breeding Heifer Show. Our superintendents are Kenny Burns and Eric Toft. Our ring steward is Kate Scott. Our webcasting by Laddie and Landry Tree Hall with ringsidelive.com. If you'd like family to tune in, please tune in at ringsidelive.com. Our photography by Beverly Englert and her team. In the arena is Katie Pieper and Brittany Randall. Find those photos at beverlyenglert.com. Our judge today is Mr. Taylor Frank of El Dorado, Kansas. Taylor Frank grew up in northern Colorado, where he developed a passion for raising and exhibiting a variety of livestock species. He began his career at Butler Community College in 2011, competing on the livestock judging team and earning recognition as an All-American. He later transferred to Texas Tech University, where he continued judging and was fortunate to be named the high individual overall in the 2014 American Royal. He also competed on the university's meat animal evaluation team. From there, Taylor returned to El Dorado, Kansas to serve as an instructor and coach for the livestock judging team at Butler, where he has guided just shy of 200 students from 26 states and Canada. In these 11 years on faculty, he has led 5 teams to national championships with numerous academic All-Americans. If you would, please help me welcome Taylor Frank as our judge.
We've got a nice way to start off with a pair of Heifers that counter each other quite a bit in type and kind, and so you've got some differences to kind of weigh out. I'm going to keep them the way that they stand, and I tell you, I kind of want to merge them together just a little bit, but the heifer up in the front, I think where she's at today, has probably just a little bit more go left in her as well. She's a little fresher in terms of her condition, and so she's stayed just a touch neater in her chest. I still think that she's pretty decent in terms of her body shape, and then comes back just a little bit more genuine in her pin set, a little neater around her tail head. I think she gives off just a shade more look from the profile with just an extra shot of bone underneath. To me, the trade-off is that the young lady's heifer right in behind her, I think first glance might hit you just a little smoother because the way she blends from her shoulder into her forerib, she'll hit you just a little bit bigger bodied, and I'd probably say more than anything, just a little easier fleshing in terms of her first glance. But then if you take back and just really study the body differences, I don't think they're quite as big as what maybe some condition probably adds into just a little bit of chest, a little bit of pone fat on that one. I think there's trade-offs between them. I think both heifers are nice. They're just a little different from one another. I like a little extra length and look in the heifer that leads off. Congratulations to each of you young ladies for starting our heifer show off strong.
Your placings from the previous class are as such. In second place for our second in class, Madeline Nilly. And for first in class, Leanne McLaughlin. Now entering the ring is our second class of the Hereford Heifer Show. We have, as a single entry, Lillian McLaughlin for our junior yearling heifers, calved January through February of 2025.
Young lady gets her heifer put together and gives off a very nice image of her right there, and probably not to just jump ahead of things, but maybe some happy medium between that last duo that we talked about, because I think this heifer's got some length up front, blends pretty nice in the way her shoulder and her forerib meet. Still a heifer whose joint work and structure reads nice as we set her into motion. I think she's got a very nice hind leg in her. Has some doability, but still does it with some quality. We'll see her back out here. I guess let this young lady pick which one she wants to show. We'll get you a champion and reserve her right after this class. Well, the pair of young ladies grabbed a friend and got these three heifers back out here. And I talked that class one of having some trade-offs within one another. And I think even on down the road, this heifer up here in the front will look even better and better as you get her a little further along in gestation and get her to just fill out just a little more in rib and body type. But I think her balance and pieces from the side are the best of all three of them out here. And so from a long-term perspective, I like those things about her. Today, she's maybe not quite just as there in terms of rib and body. Could probably go just a tiny bit looser off of her rear leg. The heifer that's behind her, a little cowier in her look at first with just a little more chest and cover on her as well. But I think her moderation and low input image is certainly valuable out here. And then I said we've probably got somewhere in the middle of those two, and maybe she's not quite as good in just her top line, especially as we set her into motion. But that one, to me, has the nicest hind leg structure in this particular class. does so with a little extra stoutness versus the one behind, a little more durability, the one in front. She's going to be your champion. We're going to use the heifer up front for reserve. Congratulations to the pair of you young ladies that had brought your cattle out here.
For our junior Hereford Heifer Drive, we have as a reserve champion within the Hereford Heifer division from Madeline Nilly in our class of 1502 for reserve champion. From class 1504, Lillian McLaughlin from class 1502 with our reserve, and Lillian McLaughlin as well with our champion from class 1504. Now entering it in the ring is our single entry from Charlie Rogers of our junior Ménage Heifers. Again, this is our single entry from Charlie Rogers.
November heifer that comes out here, and hard not to just instantly gravitate some attention and likability towards highly presented heifer that's got a very, very intriguing look about her, very neat up through her front end, and still comes back really, really good in her lower body and back into her flank. Down low, she's built nice. Up high, we could probably just modify her a tiny little bit in her loin and sink her tail head down into her just a touch smoother, but it's a high-quality heifer, very, very deserving to be back out here later this evening.
Congratulations again to Charlie Rogers for our divisional champion in the June Ménage Heifers. Attention, if we could have Kara Sidwell, Adrian Frost, and Willow Martinez to the ring for our first class of the Junior Main Trainer Heifers, class 1493. This is our first class of the Junior Main Trainer Heifers, Class 1493, Spring Yearling Heifers, calved March through April of 2025. Again, this is our first class of the Junior Main Trainers, Class 1493.
Just a pair of them that come out here in the first class of the maintainers, and I think a pair that just kind of falls together. Young lady's got a very nice heifer to lead off. I'm not saying she's just epitomizing just an instant read of freshness, and it doesn't help that she's probably a little late summer hair-wise, but I think that heifer's balance comes together very, very good. Everything from the side fits in her nicely. Her build is good. Her body type is good. And so just a pretty fundamentally complete type of a heifer that comes together with just a little extra shot of balance to put her up over the edge. Heifer that's going to wind up second, very fresh in terms of her condition. She's got a big top, a bold body shape, and some muscle to her. She's just not built quite right in terms of her structure. A little too upright in her shoulder, a little too tight in the way she gets off her hind leg.
That class 1493, Spring Yearling Heifers, calved March through April 2025, placed as such. In second in class, Adrian Froze. And first in class, Willow Martinez. Congratulations to our exhibitors. Now entering the ring is our second class of the Junior Main Trainers, Class 1494, Junior Yearling Heifers, calved January through February of 2025, exhibited by Piper Warren.
Really nice heifer that comes out in the next class, and I'd say as soon as you get that heifer parked and kind of put together from the sides where she shows off just the best image that she's got. Lots of length up through her front end and good in the way that her neck sits there onto the top side of her shoulder. She's very, very long-bodied and big out of the top side of her hip. From there, maybe she'll flatten just a little down into her stifle. I'm not saying she's elite in terms of her hind leg, but it's useful in the way that she gets out and goes. A nice heifer that's well presented to come out here and win this next class.
Our first in class for Class 1494 being Piper Warren of our Junior Yearling Heifers, calved January through February of 2025. Now entering the ring is a single entry for Class 1496 of cow-calf pairs for our Junior Main Trainer Heifers, exhibited by Reed Pratt. Again, this is class 1496.
Here's where we'd go in age and stack them up here to a pair, and certainly a good one to come out here. And a cow that I think from the side, a lot of balance, quality, angles of her build read nice. And then as you get right in behind her, there's a lot of cow there. She's very, very bold in her body shape. She's really, really powerful out of her hip. Still blends it together the kind of way that you want a stout one too from the side. And then it's obvious she's put a lot of that horsepower into this next little bull calf here too. He's incredibly big in his hip, and he's stout in his kind. Still balances up really well off to the side as well. Be a fun pair to circle back around here in just 1 second for your maintainer drive.
Again, for your junior maintainer heifers, our cow-calf pair from class 1496 was exhibited by Reed Pratt. Now entering the ring will be our junior maintainer drive. Again, this is our junior maintainer drive.
Really good set of them that come out here, especially these three class winners. And I think there's some similarities between a couple of them and then some trade-offs. I talked about the heifer that winning that first class and obviously dominating it pretty well. And I think that heifer's got a nice look of balance. I think her lower rib and her softness of body is built right, as well as her structure. And so not big holes in that heifer necessarily. Maybe not the one that jumps out and grabs you quite as enticing in terms of just freshness and look. It's the one behind her horsepower and stoutness in behind that one there. But I think that heifer is absolutely deserving to be right in the mix of things out here because what she does in a positive way comes together really nice and really complete. The heifer that's just hard not to just gravitate towards when they're set up right here from the side is the one here in the middle. Her balance, her look, her freshness, and everything that you've done to present her to this point, I think comes together very, very intriguing off to the profile. We pull them into motion, and I want to modify her just a little in the way that she'll go. She's just a little sluggish in the way she'll plant and step and sometimes get just a little bit off in terms of her pastern. Maybe not quite just plant with as much looseness and drive off of her hock is perfect, but I like that heifer's balance right there. The image that you've got of her put together from the side, set up, comes together awfully, awfully good. And then we talked about that pair that came out of the last class and an ultra powerful one that comes out here. Her body shape, her width and her substance is pretty overwhelming when you get kind of off to a 3/4 and probably even over here to the profile. You can tell that. If you stay at this side view too, though, I don't think that she's detracting in terms of just being a power cow without enough quality. Her chest stays into her really nicely. Her shoulder lays into her and blends into her forerib. The best of all of these cattle because she's the most opened up. And then I think down low, the angles of her build still read really nice. Putting a lot into that stout calf that's right in behind that comes together with a combination of power and quality as well. To me, when you put them together that powerful and still make them move good, that's the one that's my favorite. The one right in front of her is going to be reserved. Congratulations, a really, really nice set of cattle. My compliments to all of you guys.
For our junior main trainer heifers, we have for our grand in division, not our grand, excuse me, our divisional champion, we have our entry from Reed Pratt, our cow calf pair. And our reserve in division is Piper Warren from class 1494 of our junior yearling heifers, calf January through February of 2025.
Young lady brings us a single entry here that she's presented to us impeccably well. You've got her fresh in terms of her kind. You've got hair on point, and I think a heifer that her body type is very, very good. Reed's maybe a little bit more moderate in terms of her frame, and I think that with all the ribs she's got ought to stay in good condition for you all along. If we set her in motion, I could modify her just a little bit. She's just a touch upright, almost down into her front pastern, and then she'll roll just a little bit on not maybe just elite-shaped feet on those back wheels, elevate just a skosh in her tail head, but you've got a big rib, dense one that I think still hits you, pretty commanding of just some attention as she walks into the ring. Want to just modify her down at the ground a little bit too, though. But nice single entry. Congratulations to you, young lady.
Now exiting the ring as our divisional champion is Sailor Weyerman of our other purebred heifers. Again, that is Sailor Weyerman. If we could have Reese Locke of the junior Shorthorn Heifers, class number 1565, to the arena for our single entry of our junior Shorthorn Heifers. Thank you.
Young lady brings us a January heifer that'll consequently be our champion Shorthorn and make it out here into the drive tonight. And a performance-driven type of a female, too. I know maybe a January heifer, but she looks like the kind that'll make a really big kind of a cow, big outlined, long-bodied. She's got some foot and some bone underneath of her as well. Maybe not just dynamite in terms of her balance pieces from the side or just freshness in the way she's built there at the top side of her neck, or kind of just the gradual turn she's got to her hip can come off just a nickel plane probably, but I think that heifer's got some function down low with some stoutness, a lot of length and extension to her as well. Congratulations to bringing us a breed champion.
Now entering is our junior Shorthorn Plus heifers, class 1573, our first and only class of our junior Shorthorn Plus division.
A nice class here and some trade-offs between them. I think the pair of cattle that wind up here first and second, the way that they stand in this lineup, probably match up a little more consistent to one another, and then the heifer that's going to wind up third's just a shade different. I'd say probably amongst this pair, we've got just a little more in the black heifer. She's a little longer in terms of her cannon, little bigger outlined type of a female, and then I'd still say she probably opens up just a little bit better in terms of her forerib shape. Her chest probably sits up there a little bit tighter in the way that she's assembled from the side, and she still comes back very, very nice in her body type with clean joints. Very nice heifer to lead off in this class. I'd still say there's times where the blue roan heifer kind of catch my attention and make me toy with swapping that pair. I prefer her probably in the shape just a little bit there at the top side of her neck. She's really, really neat in terms of her throat. We get down, she's a little more awkward in her chest and how it blends into her heart. On a comparative note to the heifer right in front, maybe just a little bit coarser in terms of her joints if I'm nitpicking hairs. But I think that pair is close. Those are both nice cattle. Black heifer's a little bigger outline. Blue roan heifer's a little neater, the shape to her neck. Heifer here in third, you presented her very, very well in terms of just how well you've put together her legs and presented her underline. She just probably doesn't have naturally the same kind of rib and body as the cattle that are right in front of you. I know her demeanor's probably not advantageous to trying to get a perfect read on her structure. There's times where she'll get just a little bit awkward and almost how her front feet hit the ground and then get a little wide in her elbow. I think some of that could be her fighting you just a little bit. More than anything, probably just a little shallower body type of heifer that'll tuck her hind leg just a little up underneath of herself. But a trio of cattle that each have some good to them. Congrats to all three of those, and good luck with those heifers on down the road, because I certainly think they could switch things up in different directions.
Of our previous class of the juniors, Shorthorn Plus heifers, we have our placings. And third, coming to us, is going to be Claire Parker. In second, Reed Cobcall. And in first, Reese Cobcall. Congratulations to our exhibitors. Now to the ring will be our junior Simmental heifers, class 1524. Next will be our junior Simmental heifers. Now in the ring is class number 1524 of our juniors, Simmental Heifers. Again, now in the ring is our class number 1524 of our juniors, Simmental Heifers.
Really kind of an interesting pair of cattle that come out here, and they're very, very different in their type and their kind. And if you know me, probably one of them suits my type just a little bit better. It's a little more sensible sized and smoother heifer that's up here in the front. I like the way that her shoulders laid into her a touch better than heifer in second. I think she's just a little more female probably in her look up front. And then right behind her shoulders, she hooks in stronger versus the big stout heifer right behind. Looks like just a little softer bodied, easier keeping type of a female. With that, she's maybe not quite as punchy and stout as the heifer in second. This one's got the wow pieces, and I think there could be a day where they fit together and are just right. But I think it's a little further down the road with a little more time of gestation and just some feed on her if her chest stays into her, because she's really neat in her neck set. She is really, really big and stout out of her hip. That is a big animal, and I still think her structure is good. For me, with her size, she probably's just got to accommodate it with just a little more rib and body type to her. Little course up there into her shoulder, but there's some pieces of her that are really, really neat too. So two good heifers in this class that are a lot different from one another. Congratulations to both of you young ladies.
Our placings from class 1524 of the junior Simmental Heifers is as such. Our second in class, Collins Kurtz, and our first in class, Adley Block. Congratulations to our exhibitors. Now in the ring for class 1525 is Augustus Emberton with a single entry for our junior yearling heifers, calved January through February of 2025.
Young man brings us an older purebred here in this class, and I think one that's going to make a really nice cow for him. I think her mature size is on the money. Her softness of rib and all the way back into her flank is probably the best of this trio that we've got out here that we'll see in just one second. My hold up on her is she's probably just maybe not as neat in her look, and then as we set her in motion, I want her to just handle her hind leg a little different. She'd be just a touch stouter in her bone, a little hesitant in her steps. She'll just drag it a little close to the ground and knuckle up in her pastern. But you've got a great cow prospect in terms of her body type, her mature size, her teats are refined. So I think you've got all the good from that standpoint. Congratulations to you, bud. We'll see you circle her back out here in just 1 minute.
Now in the ring is our Simmental Heifer Drive. Again, this is our Simmental Heifer Drive, which includes Collins Kurt, Adley Block, and Augustus Emberton. Again, this is our Simmental Heifer Drive.
We get this trio of them that come out here, and I think the one that leads off does the combination of looking like a cow with some presence and show character out here to probably stand out. And then from there, you've got a pair of cattle that are a lot different from one another. As we talked to him in class, very cowy one that young man's got in terms of her body type, her mature size, her natural fleshing ability in the class winner. The one that was second in that first class has the most intriguing pieces of probably the trio of them that come out here. Little raw in terms of her body type right now. What I like in her the most, though, is probably her hind leg of this entire set. So big pieces in that one and some future ahead of her. Nice cow prospect in the middle that's just a little awkward in terms of her structure. Young lady's heifer up front, I thought pretty comfortably blended those two together. She'll be your champion. We're going to jump back to the second class for reserve as well. The second in class for reserve. Congratulations to all three of you, though.
Of our Simmental Drive, our placings are as such. For our reserve divisional champion, we have Collins Kurtz, and our divisional champion, Adley Block. Now to the ring will be our Sim Genetic Heifers. Again, this is our Sim Genetics Heifers, class 1533. First in will be Spring Yearling Heifers, calved March through April of 2025.
This is a really nice pair of cattle that come out here, and there's trade-offs probably in motion and then set up from the side, but the young man up front's just got the more comfortable one out here today. The way she travels off of both ends in motion, I'm not going to tell you that I think her knee is set back into her and her shoulder angle flawless, but I think she's just so much more collected in herself, especially off of her hind leg as we set the cattle on the go. And that's still a high-quality heifer that's very, very nice in terms of just her balance, her body type. You've got her presented well to us out here. The heifer in second, when the cattle get stopped, that's where I like this heifer a ton. She is incredible in terms of her lower body, the mass that she's got from that standpoint. I know she's maybe not as tidy as some up front, but I still like her head and her extension. I think her balance when the cattle are parked is good, just a little awkward when she gets out and goes. Her tail head will rise. She'll kind of sling her hind leg just a little to the outside of her body wall, not just plant her pastern down to the ground, quite comfortable enough. She's moving better. I like that heifer a really, really good deal. Set him in motion. She's just got to be modified in her rear leg.
Our placings of Class 1533 Spring Yearling Heifers calved March through April of 2025 are as such. Our second in class is Joey Patton, and our first in class is Lear Hansen. Congratulations to our exhibitors. Now coming to the ring is Class 1534 Junior Yearling Heifers calved January through February of 2025. Again, this is Class 1534.
Another nice pair of them that come out that are going to stand the way that they came into the ring. Young lady's heifer in the front. I think just a nice heifer as you get off to the side of them and study her. I think you've managed her well because she's just a little awkward in the shape of her chest, but you've kept her fresh enough to keep that kind of into her while still having enough in terms of rib and body type compared to the heifer right in behind you. I think your heifer's front feet come to the ground just a little bit square. She's not only just a little bit stouter, but probably more attractive in the way that she's built out of her hip and her hind leg. Heifer in second probably has just a little more bulk to her in terms of her rib design. Base of her heart and her forerib reads just a little fuller all the way through. That heifer's got some power when you get right in behind the cattle as well. No denying that she looks like the kind to make just a nice kick-out cow. I don't know if she comes with just the same kind of presence as the heifer that leads off in this class. Doesn't quite stay as square to the surface as that one either, but two nice cattle that came out of the second older class of semis.
Of that class, Class 1534 Junior Yearling Heifers calved January through February of 2025. For our Sim Genetics division, we have in second in class Wyatt Emberton, and for our first in class, Sophie Grossens. Now to the ring is a single entry for Class 1535 Senior Yearling Heifers calved September through December of 2024, exhibited by Collins Heck.
Young lady brings this big senior yearling heifer back out to us again, and I think the same things kind of follow suit. Big growthy type of a female, up-headed, smooth in her shoulder, level in terms of her top line, more than enough in terms of rib and body, and pretty good in terms of her teat spacing and the size of those. In motion, maybe just a little bit awkward in terms of her hind leg and the way she plants it to the ground, particularly in her pastern. Then a heifer that's got just a little bit of chest in her to detract from what else, to me, is a nice look of balance and quality off to the side. So a good senior yearling to come out and close out our percent semis. We'll see her make another lap right back out here against those other two class winners in a second.
That class 1535, our senior yearling heifers, calves September through December of 2024. It's exhibited by Collins Heck. Next in the ring will be our Sim Genetics Drive. Again, this will be our Sim Genetics Drive.
We'll bring the 5 of these cattle back out here into the lineup, and not to just go over them a ton in depth again, but that first class, I thought there was a lot of trade-offs between the cattle and about front half. I might have even preferred in the second heifer, and the back half I preferred in this heifer. Just thought her consistency of step and her hip and hind leg probably held the biggest upper hand. And out here in terms of balance, I think that heifer comes together the best of this trio right here in the front lineup in contention from a proportionality standpoint and how things just kind of fit together. The heifer in second, I'll give her a lot of credit down low and say that, you know, the angle of her shoulder and the set of her knee probably beats out the heifer that's right in front of you. Hind leg is still nice in that heifer too. And I would say when you get her head picked up off here to the side, I think the heifer has some quality. I'm not trying to build you up too much because I'd say I could still get just a little nitpicky on her in terms of her chest and her heart and just that first image that maybe she doesn't bring quite as good in terms of balance and softness as what the cattle that maybe are in the front and circling right now probably hold over her. But her feet and legs and her smoothness absolutely keep her right here into the mix of things. We rounded out with that senior yearling. Lots of length and levelness up high. Udder ought to be pretty good on that one as a cow, too. Little cowy in the look of her chest already, though. Maybe want to tweak her just a touch in her rear step. And then a heifer that kind of gave me a fit over there because she was giving him a fit. I love that heifer's lower body, the presence that she has. If she could handle her hind leg just a little bit different out here, obviously different story. But to me, that pair was already really close, and they're still going to stay together for our percentage heifers out of the first class. They'll be champion and reserve. Congratulations to y'all.
For our Sim Genetics Drive, we have as our reserve divisional champion coming to us from class 1533, Joey Patton. And also from class 1533 for our divisional champion, Lear Hansen. Congratulations to our exhibitors. Next in the ring will be our junior Angus Heifers. Class 1403, junior heifer calves, calved January of 2026. Again, next in the ring will be our junior Angus Heifers.
Young lady said first show out for this little January calf, and obviously to be probably expected, but I'm sure there's a handful more of them lined up for her down the road. I think that heifer's really, really nice. A little January calf with just a tremendous amount of softness of body and lower rib in her. Very sound in terms of her feet and legs, and then gets set up from the side and gives you a look of balance that I think certainly is high quality too. So very, very good way to start off the Angus Heifer Show. Congratulations to you, young lady. We'll let you circle her out and see you back here after a few classes with her.
That class 1403, Junior Heifer Calves, calf January of 2026. Our class winner in single entry, exhibited by Brooklyn Reed. Class 1406 is our next, also a single entry, exhibited by Brooklyn Reed.
Similar story if we talk fundamentals on this heifer is the last one that she brought to us, because I think her body shape is really good. From just a function standpoint down low, I think she gets out and she moves with some comfort off of both ends. Probably a heifer, even though she's older, that looks like she's got a little bit more length of cannon and some mature size to her versus even our January calf that led off, but also maybe not quite as attractive in the shape there at the top side of her neck, top of her head. Just a little bit more navel in this one as well, but another nice heifer if we start with the basics and build from there in our second class winner of Angus heifers.
Congratulations to Miss Brooklyn Reed for being our class winner of 1406, our late senior heifer calves, calved November through December of 2025. Now entering the ring is class 1414, April junior yearling heifers, calved April of 2025. Our single entry exhibited by Joey Patton.
A single entry April heifer that comes out here, and age aside, I don't know if we've seen one come through that's just quite as soft in terms of their lower body, all the way back into their flank is what this heifer is right here. Still a nice hind leg structure put into that heifer as well. She'll stretch her neck out, tons of length up through her front end, but not just to the point where she's just so delicate that she's too refined in terms of her look. You want to tweak her, maybe we could just strengthen her a little behind her shoulder, square up just to touch all the way back. But that's a very nice heifer. Congratulations to you. Good single entry.
For first in class, again, our single entry, Joey Patton for class 1414, our junior yearling heifer calved as of April 2025. Now to the ring is class 1416, early junior yearling heifers, calved February of 2025. Our single entry exhibited by Sophie Grossens.
Another nice cow prospect that comes here and just pretty genuine in terms of what you see in this one right here. Good in terms of her body type, really, really good in terms of her teat size and spacing. Heifer that's very correct up high, maybe just pitched a little bit forward in her shoulder and out in her chest, but a nice single entry here that the young lady's been bringing us a few of them so far. A good set of them she's got as well. Congratulations to you.
Our single entry and class winner of class 1416, Sophie Grossens. Next in the ring is class 1417, early junior yearling heifers, calf, January 2025, exhibited by Adley Block. Again, this is class 1417, early junior yearling heifers, calf, January of 2025.
Real impressive heifer that the young lady brings us in our February class of the Angus show that's just continued to heat up out here. That look of her from the side right there kind of blends together a lot of good things in terms of maybe some differences I've talked of sizes, maybe even in the division you had your other heifer in. Talked about quite a bit of variation there. I think she's on the money in terms of her size, her freshness, and her presence out here. And that's a heifer that still has some horsepower when you get right in behind her as well. Little slow in her step. We haven't seen one come through the ring yet that's just perfect in terms of their structure. She'll sometimes, maybe even more on her back left, get just a touch tight in the way that she'll put her pastern to the ground. But the angles of her structure, especially up front, read very, very good. A very, very high quality heifer right there.
From your previous class, class 1417 of early junior yearling heifers, calf, January of 2025. Your class winner in single entry is Adley Block. Now in the ring, class 1420, our late senior yearling heifer calf, November through December of 2024, exhibited by Cree Forgetto. Again, this is class 1420.
A stout heifer here that's going to round out our Angus division with a lot of power and substance to her. Still very good in terms of her body type. I think you fed her at the right kind of capacity to have some bulk and some body to her, but still stay within bounds from just a freshness standpoint. Main thing, I want to change her in terms of her build. She's just a little too far forward in her shoulder, a little too rigid in terms of her hind leg when we set her into motion.
Our single entry of class 1420 and our class winner, Cree Forgetto. Next in the arena will be our Junior Angus Heifer Drive. Again, next in the arena will be our Junior Angus Heifer Drive.
Really nice line of them that come out here and present themselves to us. And young lady, you kick-started us really, really well up here in that first class. I think she set probably a standard in terms of just balance and softness of body and structural quality that I think we matched up with a couple more of them. And truthfully, I probably thought, even though she's a heifer calf, I'd bank on her maybe getting in the mix of things. And I think she's deserving to be talked about in the mix of things because I like that heifer. And maybe today there's a couple others that just have the same kind of good in some different ways and do it in a bigger heifer type of fashion that's harder to get pieced together. We jump back two of them to the young man that's circling that heifer right there. The way that her neck ties onto the top side of her shoulder, her just softness of lower body is dramatic. And then we set her in motion. I still think that heifer is very functional, sound in the way that she gets out and travels. Little soft up high, and maybe from behind, not quite as much just horsepower as another one out here, but I like that heifer in terms of her build, her function, her smoothness, just having a lot of maternal quality to her. We jump back two more of them to a heifer I just talked about, liking that heifer in a lot of ways. And to me, she's kind of a combination of an extremely competitive look of balance from the side with power and stoutness from behind the cattle as well. I still think as you sit here and study her off to the side, build of her shoulder, the set of her knee, the strength of her top all comes together right. We could, to perfect her just a little bit more, modify the way that she'll plant on her rear leg just a touch. So there's some trade-offs out here in this lineup. Young lady in the black shirt, though, you're going to have the champion. Big fan of that heifer right there. Young man in the purple shirt's going to be reserved. Congratulations to the pair of you guys with a really nice set of heifers, and awesome job to all of the Angus exhibitors out here.
Our junior Angus Heifer Drive, placed as such. Our divisional champion, our junior Angus Heifer Drive placings are as such. Our reserve divisional champion is going to be Joey Patton. And our divisional champion comes to us from Adley Block of Class 14-17. Congratulations to our exhibitors. Next in the arena will be our Junior Angus Showmanship. Again, this will be our Junior Angus Showmanship, Class 14-33.
I'm not going to try to sit here and nitpick tons of details, and if ringside you're curious what we're doing with a mixed matched in size and age out here, a little Angus showmanship contest between all of them of a variety of ages. First and foremost, I guess I'd tell all 5 of you that you didn't necessarily make my job that easy, because we walked them into an initial setup, looked around, and all of you guys had your cattle set where they needed to be. And honestly, your spacing was borderline too much over here, and sometimes we'll get a cattle a little too gathered together and you run out of space. And so my compliments to each and every one of you for making it a little tough on me, but also just having some ring awareness as you get your cattle back out here into the lineup. I'll tell you a couple little things that I like, dislike maybe, and then go through and I'll get the shake the hand of your champion through your 5th overall. Young lady that's up here in the front, I think just blending kind of a calmness as soon as she enters the ring, and having a tremendous amount of eye contact is where she does a great job, and knowing how to just kind of keep inching that heifer forward if you need to. You're the front one up there, so you gave yourself some space and then tried to utilize that space to avoid having to take your stick and move feet where they needed to be. If anything, she was maybe just a little bit crooked into a straight lineup that first time. If you could have pulled her shoulder out just a little tiny bit, especially if you're at the very front of the lineup, you know the judge is maybe going to be at more of a rear 3/4 shot to you more than others. And then you could open her front feet up. It's up to you if you want to make them just a little bit wider. She'll plant them naturally a little close together. If you want to leave them because they're good from the side, I'm okay with that. If you want to try to perfect things, opening those front feet up just a shade. But everything else that you do and maintaining that kind of calmness with things going around on the front side of your heifer is tremendously good. Young lady right in behind, you've got your first calf out here and putting up a feat right here in a showmanship contest with one that hasn't been out a ton. Consequently, maybe she got you in just a little bit of a pickle over there from time to time. If I'm going to be nitpicky on you guys, because there's 5 of you doing a great job and wanted to just bounce around on you ever so slightly, and then you get those feet put back exactly where they need to be. So I'd say probably more than anything, your heifer didn't want to cooperate perfect, and I don't think that's always the problem in showmanship, because I think a judge should try to blend animal cooperation with which kid they might come out to grab one. If we had to show 2 of them in the same class. Right now, we could probably pull her show side front foot just a little bit further forward so that it squares up to that other one. If anything, maybe could be just a touch in front. Young lady riding behind, your heifer's a little tired out here. She's got a slower pace, and that's not something you can necessarily do. She outweighs you by just a couple pounds out here, right? And so trying to get that one lugged around maybe isn't the easiest. What I saw you do over here a second ago, though, was perfect a front foot, and those are things that I probably like if it's getting nit-gritty down here into some finals of things, because her front feet weren't exactly how you wanted them to be, and you opened that foot up and pulled it forward, and it was only like 1/2 of an inch, and it made a difference at the same token. So if you're comfortable with your animal and you know you can do that, that's great. If not, I understand leaving them close is pretty good. Maybe just a little further distance back here from the one in front of you, and I didn't think that heifer's going to probably eat up too much space by pushing through on you, so I might have wanted you to gather her forward just a little bit if you could get those few steps out of her as well. Young lady right in behind, I'd say keeping that one's head up and out of her, you're probably doing as good a job as anybody, especially down there, had it cranked really high up in the air, to maybe I don't want to say a fault, but sometimes your posture will get just a little bit uncomfortable looking, trying to keep her head up in the air. Your back will get just a little arched, and so I probably want somebody that probably stays just a little bit more relaxed in terms of their image from the outside. I've thought you've put feet together pretty well. She'll get a little wide on those fronts sometimes, and so try to pull those back in ever so slightly if you can get them to where they need to be. Young man in the back, I think you do a really nice job as well, and getting that heifer put together in other ways than just down low. And she's maybe not the one that wants to stay put for you. She did for a little while over there and decided it was time to take a few steps on you, and so making those circles is completely okay with me. I guess if it got really, really cutthroat, then we've got to make some calls there. But I thought you put feet together where they needed to be. I thought you positioned her head in the right way instead of just jacking it up, but keeping her nose put together and then getting her top line into her as well. So a couple times I think you've kept feet where they need to be to keep that heifer where she is. They're maybe not perfect 100% of the time, but I could probably tell you maybe nobody was too. So my hat's off to all 5 of you. I'm going to go through shake the hand of your champion through the 5th. Congratulations. Sorry I talked so long on that after I said I wasn't going to. But great job, young man back here in the back. You're going to be the champion. I'll go through afterwards.
Our placings of the Junior Angus Showmanship are as such. In fifth, Cree Forgretto. In fourth, Brooklyn Reed. In third, Sophie Grossens. In second, Adley Block. And in first, for our Junior Angus Showmanship champion, Joey Patton. Congratulations to our showman. Next in the ring will be our crossbred heifer division.
Really attractive heifer that the young lady's got here. Tons of length and just a very up-headed heifer, and I'm sure some of that comes from getting out into a show ring setting for maybe the first time out here. But her look and her extension is really good. Her smoothness is good. A sound structure type of a heifer, too. Maybe not ever going to be the stoutest out here in a crossbred lineup of cattle, but certainly a good-looking one from the side.
Of our first class, class 1541 of our crossbred heifer division, junior heifer calves calved on or after January 1st, 2026. Our class winner in single entries, Claire Parker. Congratulations to our exhibitors. The next class in the ring will be class 1543, our summer yearling heifers calved May through August of 2025. Again, this is class 1543 of our crossbred division. Summer yearling heifers calved May through August of 2025.
A pair of stout heifers that come out here into this next class, and thought the black heifer needed to go ahead and lead off. I just think there's just a little bit more balance, a little more rib and softness of body to that heifer all the way through. And there's no doubt she's wide. I'd say up there in the front shot of her, maybe just a little bit wide coming out of the gate for me, a touch intimidating in terms of just like her chest width, and consequently I'm curious how she's going to maintain her shoulder from the side. And it's a little coarse and it's a little round, but I still think her knees set back into her pretty decent from the side. When you've got her parked, I think her hind leg structure reads nice. We set her in motion, she'll get just a touch rigid down there at the surface, but good-bodied, easy keeping look about her, a nice look of balance as well. The red baldy heifer that's coming out next, a lot of length to her and a lot of power as you get right in behind her. Probably a little better in the way that she's built there in her shoulder versus the heifer that's going to lead off. And she reaches pretty comfortably at the surface. The same token, just probably doesn't balance quite up the same way as the heifer that leads off with the same class. And then the overwhelming pieces of that one too. But a nice pair of heifers in our second class of commercials.
Our previous class, Class 1543 Summer Yearling Heifers, calved May through August of 2025, placed as such. In second, Ethan Garner. And in first, for first in class, Brant Vollison. Now in the ring is our single entry from Cree Forgetto of Class 1544, Spring Yearling Heifers, calved March through April 2025.
I think a nice balanced heifer here from the side. Top line and hip structure and the way that her tail head lays into her, I think, is exceptionally good. Her chest sits into her nice, and you've got her fresh in terms of her condition as well. I still think she's sound in terms of her structure, but that's probably where I want to tweak her the most, and it's mostly just at the surface. Even her dew claws, but more so her feet are getting pretty long, and so curious how that holds up long term, or what kicking out just probably looks like down at the ground, depending on what kind of your surface level looks like. But a nice balanced heifer that's got some shape to her. Done a nice job managing her from a freshness standpoint as well.
Next in the ring will be from Class 1545 of our crossbred heifer division. Junior yearling heifers calved January through February of 2025, exhibited by Ella Rogers as our single entry. Again, this is Class 1545. Junior yearling heifers calved January through February of 2025.
Nice effort that comes out here that the young lady's got, and I'd say you've managed her really well because I think her front end reads still pretty fresh. She's got a little condition on her from there back, but she handles it in the right kind of way to still look the part here off to the side. Really big at the surface and stout in her bone work, big in terms of her rib and her body as well. A nice effort to win this class.
Again, our single entry of Class 1545 was Ella Rogers. Next in the ring will be our final class of our crossbred division, Class 1547, our cow-calf pair, exhibited by Elijah Ross.
A good pair to close out your commercial show here, and a really powerful cow. I think you get on top of her. That is a wide back. That's a big hip. That's a lot of dimension in one. From the side, probably just a little streamline in terms of her lower body, and maybe doesn't read just ultra maternal in terms of her image, but she's doing a good job with the next generation. I actually think that's maybe even the biggest upside here. I think that bull calf's really nice. A little longer cannon. Looks like he's got a little more grow in him than maybe even the cow does, and I don't think she's too small or anything like that. But that's a good-looking calf. I think you set him into motion. He moves good. He's got power. He's got stoutness all the way through. Probably predicted that she's going to make some power in the next generation. But she did it with some quality, too. So a nice pair to go ahead and close out our crossbred show here.
That cow-calf pair exhibited by Elijah Verbis. Again, that is Elijah Verbis with their cow-calf pair from class 1547. Next in the ring will be our crossbred drive, our crossbred heifer divisional drive. Now entering the ring is our crossbred heifer drive. Again, this is our crossbred heifer drive. Again, in the ring is our crossbred heifers divisional drive. This is our crossbred heifers divisional drive.
We bring the cattle back out here into our commercial lineup, and I think there's a decision to be made, and it's between a couple of them out here. One of them that probably just needs to go ahead and stand out in this particular set. To talk between the trio of those, though, the young man that came out of Class 2, maybe not just flawless down there at the surface, but I think a heifer that's really good in terms of her body type. And amongst this set, I actually think pound for pound or age relative, that heifer is as good in her body shape and as soft in her lower rib and honest from that standpoint as every single one of them because her condition still reads pretty fresh in her. She's not the neatest looking one up through her front end. She's a little plainer headed. Maybe she's got a little throat and chest in her as well. But I love her body type. I like her balance standing there. On the move is the trademark that I've got to just be held up a little bit with. The sound is structured one comes out of this class, and not that she's just absolutely flawless in terms of her hind leg or top line, but she is up-headed, her neckties on really nice, fresh in her look up front, still has some body mass from there back. And then the most powerful one comes out of the next class right here with this cow and her steer calf right in behind, really big up high and stout out of her hip. I don't know if that epitomizes the maternal image that I'm always chasing just directly from the side, but the set of her knee, the build and flexibility of her hind leg still reads functional to surface, and I think she's put it into a really nice calf over here on the side of her too, who's got some growth, some shape, some power, and some build quality. And so that's the decision that I've got in my mind is between a pair of them that come into reserve. Young lady right here with the black heifer is going to lead off. The structural build of the red cow is going to keep her reserve. Congratulations to this pair of them here at the tail end.
Your crossbred divisional reserve divisional champion is coming from class 1547 with Elijah Verbis, excuse me. And your divisional champion coming to you from class 1545 is from Ella Rogers. Congratulations to our exhibitors. Our junior breeding heifer showmanship will be in 10 minutes. Again, your junior breeding heifer showmanship will be in 10 minutes. This will serve as your first call for exhibitors that are in the barn. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Junior Breeding Heifer Show Grand Drive. Again, this is our Junior Breeding Heifer Show Grand Drive. Our reserve divisional champions will parade before our divisional champions come in for our class. Ladies and gentlemen, now entering the ring is our Junior Breeding Heifer Show Grand Drive. First in the ring will be our reserve divisional champions. From our Hereford division, we have Madeline Nilly. From our maintainer division, we have Adrian Froese. From our Shorthorn Plus, we have Reed Cobbcall. From our Simmental division, we have Collins Kurtz. From our Sim Genetics, we have Joey Patton. From our Angus, we have also from Joey Patton. And from our crossbreds, we have Elijah Verbis. Ladies and gentlemen, your reserve divisional champions of our Junior Breeding Heifer Show. You will have to excuse me. For our maintainer, we have in the ring Piper Warren. Now entering the ring will be our grand drive, made up of, from our Hereford division, Lillian McLaughlin. From our main Anjou division, we have Charlie Rogers. From our maintainer division, we have Reed Pratt. From our other purebreds, we have Sailor Weyerman. From our Shorthorn division, we have Reese Locke. From our Shorthorn Plus division, we have Reese Cobbcall. From our Simmental division, we have Adley Block. From our Sim Genetics division, we have Lear Hansen. From our Angus division, we have Adley Block. And from our Crossbred division, we have Ella Rogers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Junior Breeding Heifer Show Grand Drive.
I'll try to be brief and share just a few comments with you guys. Yesterday, as I hopped into my truck to make the drive out here, the last time that I made that drive from El Dorado, Kansas here to Pueblo, Colorado would have been when I was coming out here to show in this same ring. My final year is as a 4-H member, and I probably anticipated that was the last time I'd be in this ring at your guys' stage of the game right there. And so to put a little perspective on that, it's been a few years ago. I would have taken an Atlas in my car with me that most of you guys in this ring right now have never seen one of those before. I guess what I knew was to just follow the sun, and if I hit the mountains, I maybe went just a shade too far and try to figure out the rest from there. But I tell you, even in that 15-year span from then till now, some things haven't really changed a whole lot. Still the exact same type of setup right out here in the ring. Pueblo, Colorado hadn't changed a whole lot. The Mexican food's still a lot better than it is there in Kansas as well. But at the same token, I probably didn't know at that stage what the next game plan was for me, and I've been fortunate to be a judging coach for a handful of years ever since. And riding around in the judging vans the other day, you got kids from all over the place on the team, from California to Florida, Texas to Canada, and a few of them were having a debate about whose state fair was the best. And I'll tell you, in that conversation, no matter which state kids were from, they were constantly highlighting all of the good things about their state fair and the things that they thought were better than maybe other places. And so I just tell you, keep that perspective in mind and try to find the positives out of the Colorado State Fair, the positives in what you guys are doing out here in the ring, because there wasn't a single one of those kids in any of those arguments that was trying to downplay anything, but their approach was incredibly positive. So that's what I'd probably leave you with is it's a cow show. All of these that are out here in this ring right now, today's not the end point for them like maybe earlier this morning was. And so you got other shows to take them to. You've got production to get them into and things of that nature. But once again, the people that you surround yourself with, I listened to a few of the Grand Drives earlier today as I was watching the shows, and one of them, interestingly enough, I moved into the house that Barrett maybe moved out of when he was at Butler, and he talked about the people of Colorado being some people that he always enjoys the time to be around, and maybe it's something I could have even taken for granted or not thought about, but I'm proud of where I came from, and I tell you guys the same thing. Always be proud of what you've got at the end of the halter. Be proud of the process and look for the future. You maybe don't know what that completely looks like just yet ahead of you, but make it a good one. Be positive, and best of luck to you guys. If you wouldn't mind, put your hands together for the kids that are out here, the folks that made it run. Heifer show's been really, really good. I'll go out here and pick you a champion and a reserve.
Your Grand Champion Junior Breeding Heifer, coming to us from the Angus Division, exhibited by Adley Block. Adley, as our Supreme Champion Junior Heifer, will be receiving $1,000 from the Colorado Farm Bureau, the Tara Nolan Agency, as well as a traveling trophy from the CSU Animal Sciences Department, given by Dr. Patrick Doyle, the Dean of Animal Sciences, as well as a banner from the Colorado State Fair Authority. Now in the ring, in place of Adley, is Joey Patton from our Angus Division. Our reserve Supreme Champion Junior Heifer comes to us from the Maine Anjou Heifers, exhibited by Charlie Rogers. Charlie will be receiving a buckle from the Colorado State Fair Authority Board of Commissioners, as well as a banner. Congratulations to our exhibitors, and that is our Junior Breeding Heifer Show. Our Junior Breeding Heifer showmanship will be in 15 minutes at 4:50. Again, our junior breeding heifer showmanship will be in 15 minutes at 4:50. Attention in the barn, attention in the barn. We will be commencing our junior showman division of our junior breeding heifer showmanship momentarily. Thank you. Attention in the barn. We will start with our junior showman for our junior breeding heifer showmanship. Again, we will start with our junior showman. That is Taylor Sidwell, Sophie Groshans, Adrian Froese, Reed Cobb Collar, Brooklyn Reed, and Collins Kurtz. Now entering the ring is class 1603, our junior showman of our junior breeding heifer showmanship. Again, these are our junior showmen, ages 8 to 10 years old, exhibiting their hard work and commitment from this past year.
we'll be pulling this first set of showmen, and you've got a really, really good group of them that came out here. I'd talked about just a couple of little tweaky things over here of getting that show stick swapped around and just pulling up into the lineup and then watching kind of our distance so we don't overlap just a little bit. It left those three young ladies out here from the side, and I'd say from the get-go, there's probably one of them that hit me just the smoothest amongst the trio, and then I think we've got trade-offs there afterwards amongst just getting cattle put together. I think the one that does just a fantastic job of maintaining a calm kind of demeanor, keeping their heifer put together the entire time and then subtly reaching up to just push their head on up when they need to, is the young lady up in the front. That's going to be your champion. Congratulations to you. Nice work, young lady. And then I think we get really close between this next pair of young ladies, and I'll just break down the differences that I see in each of them. Young lady right here in the middle, we talked about bringing that heifer out earlier, and one that's at times showing really good for you, and then at times she wants to just give you a little bit of a fit, and that's what happens when you bring out the little tiny ones. But your awareness of keeping an eye on those feet is tremendously good. I like that you're perfecting the front feet onto that heifer as well, and then keeping your distance probably exactly where it needs to be. You had her set up on a rear shot really well over there. You get her set up on the profile well too. A couple times versus the young lady that's just in front of you, maybe not quite as smooth as what she is and as relaxed. And so I think trying to maintain that just a little bit. I think the pair of you are probably the more intense ones. Young lady right here in the back. I think catching that gap and filling into that gap just a little bit quicker. If there's ever one that's in front of you that has pulled out of the way, go ahead and fill into that gap. I like your intensity out here as well, though. Right there is where they need to be, and I'd say a couple times you maybe tweaked on them just a little bit, where I'd have probably kept them where they needed to be. That was the difference between 2 and 3. Interestingly, that is the way that I like them, though. Let's congratulate them 1, 2, and 3 as they are all out here and as they're heading out of the ring. Great job to this first group of showmen. Those are some very, very competitive kids, all 6 of you. Great work. Keep up the good work, youngsters.
Our placings of our junior showmen and our junior breeding heifer showmanship are as such. In third place, Collins Kurtz. In second place, Brooklyn Reed. And for our champion junior showman of our junior breeding heifer show, we have Sophie Groshans. Congratulations to our junior showmen. Now entering the ring will be our intermediate showman of our junior breeding heifer showmanship. Again, this will be our intermediate showman, class number 1602.
trio of very good showmen that stand out here profile to us, and I would tell you, good showmen over here with primarily cattle that maybe didn't want to settle into it just perfect to allow them to just highlight everything that they're capable of. I used to ask some questions about this or that, and truthfully, I don't ask a ton anymore. I'll tell you, the question that I asked each one of them is, do you like how they're set up right now? And I guess, to me, if you don't like how they're set up, let's beat the judge to it, and let's get those feet nailed down. And all three of them wanted to tweak something, so I said, well, let's get after it, let's tweak it, let's perfect things, because right now, it is all the little tiny details that's going to separate the trio of you. Because I would tell you as a judge, and you maybe don't know this, but there's different times in my head where I'm thinking that kid can win. Well, maybe now this kid's winning, or right now this one's got it nailed down. So to me, they line up okay in the end off of just who was the most fault-free from start to finish. Young man with a red cow, as soon as you came into the ring, I was thinking to myself, this might be a bold move, taking a cow into the ring with a calf somewhere else, but I guess you knew better than what I did, because she's shown great for you. If I was to tweak anything, a couple of times, maybe the back feet weren't as consistent every single time you walked her into a setup. I was actually probably okay with it where you had it at. I didn't mind that you pulled it forward just a little bit more, because I think that separated them to make them look even just a little bit better. You're incredibly calm. You used the ring to its fullest all the way through. I thought you did an outstanding job. You're going to be the champion in this division. Congratulations to you. The next pair of young ladies, we probably got this heifer just a little stretched from time to time, and she'll do that, and consequently, because you had her just a nickel stretched, she pulled that back leg forward on you one of the times, and then I thought you balked her into it just perfect. When I asked you, obviously her front leg just a little forward, just those couple little things right there, very, very dynamite setup. That's when you can win this showmanship contest right here, just looking like that. You're going to wind up second today, just missing those feet a couple little times, but great work out here all the way through. Young lady, I thought as soon as you come in, just your ring presence is very, very good. Your posture's good. You're dressed clean and sharp as well, and maybe that sounds kind of dumb, but as a judge, sometimes I probably just like when kids still wear a long-sleeve collared shirt like the trio of you guys did, and a lot of you guys. She's probably the hardest one to show in some ways, because she'll get just a little weird in how she'll plant her back feet to the ground, and I think you know that. A couple times we probably let them stay just a little square than what I wanted. I wanted them separated just a touch more. Her fronts were maybe just a touch off when I came around and asked you guys questions too. But those couple little things keeps you right in the mix of things and makes it a little challenging. You dial those in, you jump yourself 2 spots up in this lineup. Great set of them all the way through. We had talked through this next trio of them that are 4th, 5th, 6th, but if you guys wouldn't mind, let's put our hands together for them once more.
For your intermediate showman of the Junior Breeding Heifer Showmanship, placings are as such. In 3rd place, Sawyer Weyerman. In 2nd place, with your reserve champion intermediate showman, Adley Block. In your 1st place for your champion intermediate showman, Elijah Verbis. Congratulations to our intermediate showman. Now entering the ring are our senior showmen of our Junior Breeding Heifer Showmanship. Again, this is our senior showmanship division, class 1601. Thank you.
wife's favorite song you had playing there. Not much beats that kind of song, judging an elite set of showmen out here. And I had talked with the young lady with the shorthorn heifer and said, you didn't necessarily do much wrong. You just let back feet stay square for just a little too long instead of getting those offset. And eventually, as a judge, you're just thinking, we got to start pulling somebody. And truthfully, this was just a matter of who could outlast the other ones. And I mean that complimentary towards each and every one of you that stand out here in the ring, because I thought there wasn't a foot out of place, really, in the big scheme of things when we set them up right here. So I had to walk back through and I guess ask myself, has anybody got feet just a little bit off? Are they a little too wide or back feet a little too close together? I'd say as we get these two out here, one of them had front feet just a tiny bit offset, a little wide when I walked on that initial front pass, and they're just a little bit slower to probably get their animal dialed down into a setup and keep kind of inching forward. And that's, to me, ultimately what separates first and second. But at the end of the day, as showmen, it's easy to get frustrated, but I'd say be proud. Be proud of yourselves and be proud of what you guys did. Just like I had spoke earlier, it's been a really, really fun heifer show. Young lady, I didn't think you missed a beat. You're going to be champion today. Young lady up front, you're going to be reserve. Awesome set of them, though. Congratulations to all of you guys. Thank you for having me. Thank your friends, your family, your show crews, and have a great rest of your state fair.
Our placings of the senior showmen within our junior breeding heifer showmanship are as such. In third, Lear Hansen. In second, with your reserve champion senior showman, Ella Rogers. And your champion senior showman, Piper Warren. Congratulations to all of our senior showmen and all of our junior breeding heifer exhibitors.